Linda Whitmore stood frozen in the basement, heart pounding, eyes locked with the man she thought she knew. The man who baptized children, gave sermons on grace, and held her hand through prayer, was now staring at her with eyes colder than death. "You weren't supposed to see this, my love." His voice was soft, too soft. She couldn't move, couldn't scream. Only the sound of a ticking clock from somewhere above reminded her time was still moving. Daniel stepped forward, slowly, as if walking down the aisle of his own church. Calm, purposeful. But something in Linda snapped. She turned, ran, slamming the basement door behind her and locking it from the other side. She didn't wait. She didn't breathe. She just ran. Out the door, into the night. She didn't even take the car. She ran barefoot down Crestwood Lane, blood on her heels, lungs burning with panic. Somehow, she made it to the sheriff's station before she collapsed. By sunrise, the house was surrounded. Police entered with a warrant, ready for confrontation. But the man they found inside was not the predator Linda had described. Pastor Whitmore sat calmly in the kitchen, sipping coffee, his Bible open beside him. He welcomed them like guests, asked if they'd like breakfast, and when asked about the basement, he simply smiled and said, "I told her not to go down there." But when investigators descended those stairs, that smile didn't last. Inside the basement, officers found over 200 photographs, most of them women. But not all of them were missing. Some were local, some were churchgoers. Many had no idea they'd ever been watched. That's when the full picture began to form. Whitmore had been stalking women for over a decade, photographing them, tracking their routines, logging details in notebooks. Some were tourists passing through town. Others were local women who'd simply disappeared. A few had even filed complaints over the years, disturbing letters, anonymous gifts left on their cars, but no one had ever suspected the pastor. Why would they? The most damning evidence, though, was what they found behind the furnace, a hidden crawl space. Inside, police discovered remnants of clothing, strands of hair, and traces of blood soaked deep into the wooden beams. A forensic team was called in immediately. It would take weeks to process. But one thing was clear. This wasn't just a shrine. It was a hunting ground. And now, Pastor Daniel Whitmore was no longer a man of God. He was a suspect in what was quickly becoming the largest serial investigation in Georgia in over 30 years. Linda was placed into protective custody. Her children moved out of state for safety. But what she didn't know was that this was just the beginning. Because days later, investigators made another discovery. One that would crack the case wide open. A set of old videotapes hidden behind the false wall in Whitmore's study. They weren't labeled, just numbered. 1 through 27, each one filmed in the same location. Same lighting, same subject, different women, and then tape 28. That one wasn't like the others, because tape 28 featured a woman who was very much alive. Linda, sleeping, unaware, filmed from inside her own bedroom. When investigators confronted Daniel with the tapes, he didn't deny anything. He just asked for his Bible. And then he laughed, a slow, chilling laugh that echoed through the interrogation room. When asked about the women, he gave no names, no confessions, only scripture. "For nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest," he quoted. "Nor is anything secret that will not be known and come to light." But when they asked about Linda, that smile returned, and he said one word: "She's next." Linda was moved again, this time to an undisclosed location. Officers watched her around the clock. Still, she couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Every night she woke up with the same dream, Daniel's face staring through the crack in the basement door, whispering her name. Back in Crestwood, the town was unraveling. News crews swarmed the church. Parishioners wept in disbelief. Some refused to believe it. Others claimed they'd always known something felt off. But then came the phone call. A man claiming to be a former deacon. He didn't want his name on the record, but what he said next sent chills through the entire task force. This goes deeper than Daniel, much deeper. He spoke of private meetings, off-the-book ceremonies, hidden financials, and then he said 5 words that made the lead investigator's blood run cold. "There's a second basement." Authorities raced back to the church. They tore through the building from floor to ceiling, and sure enough, hidden beneath the original foundation, sealed off by decades of cement and wood, was a door, padlocked, chained, untouched. They called for a warrant, brought in ground-penetrating radar. What they found beneath the floorboards changed everything, because Daniel Whitmore was not acting alone, and the real horror had only just begun. Stay tuned for part 3 of The Pastor's Dark Secret, where the second basement is opened and the truth about New Hope Church is finally exposed.